Right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is the second time I've tried to start this live stream because the first time I started it, I forgot to press the button that starts this that puts the is on the live stream. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, this is something that I'm not usually this is something I don't usually focus on. However, this meningitis outbreak in the United Kingdom has now been called a national incident. Now, what I'm going to talk about initially on this live stream is the vaccines for the for meningitis. I'm also going to talk about the possibility of lockdowns in the United Kingdom. And look, guys, I'll just throw it out there real quick for you guys who I'll just throw this out real quick for you guys who only may be watching the first couple of minutes. Yes, I do think that all this is leading to another national lockdown in the United Kingdom. Why? War, fuel, crisis. All right, it's a good way to lock people down. If we're looking at national fuel emergencies in the United Kingdom, a good way to get people to stop using fuel, guess what? Tell me I'm wrong, guys. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me that a good way to get people to stop using fuel is not a national lockdown. We've seen this before. So I think that we're being set up now. And I think this meningitis is being pitched as a way to get people into national lockdown. Right, let's just get on with this, guys, okay? And then we'll jump over to what's happening in the Middle East. So for those of you guys who live in the United Kingdom, you guys know that there is a fast-moving outbreak of meningitis right now, and it's hitting close to home for many people in the southeast. Now, if you guys can remember, in 2019, or was it 20? I think it was January 2020 when the first case of the virus of unknown origin hit the United Kingdom. I think it was whatever. It doesn't really matter. You guys lived through it, right? I can remember when that happened, it first started, and there is one case, one confirmed case, 2 confirmed cases, 8 confirmed cases, 30 confirmed cases, and then it just spread exponentially, right? So the health secretary, Wes Streeting, and I'm not a big fan of him, guys, but we'll just talk about this. UK Health Secretary has described this as unprecedented. The speed and scale of the spread is unlike anything officials have ever seen. Its outbreak of invasive meningitis disease, mostly the aggressive Group B strain, which can cause meningitis and deadly blood poisoning. As of the latest figures, as of this morning, guys, March the 18th, there are now 20 notified cases linked to the Canterbury area, 9 laboratory confirmed with 11 more under investigation. Tragically, 2 teenagers, 2 young people have lost their life. Actually, I think one was 21, actually, and the other one was like 18. Now, they were both University of Kent students, as I understand. All cases have needed hospital treatment and several remain seriously ill. So this is quite big, right? This is quite big that all these people are going sick with it. And look, guys, I totally understand you guys may be skeptical. I'm giving you guys what we're being told on the mainstream media. And remember, what do I always say on this channel, right? The reality doesn't matter. The reality does not matter. The perception of that reality. That's the only thing that you guys need to worry about. And so whether this is fake news, whether this is AI, whether this is switch and bait, smoke and mirrors, it doesn't matter, because the perception is that it's real. So we have to act, and we have to act accordingly. And yes, I do think we are being laid up for another national lockdown. Too many directions that would point us to a national lockdown. So the epicenter does appear to be the popular student nightclub, Club Chemistry in Canterbury. Many of those affected were there on the nights of the 5th, 6th and 7th of March. It's been called the potential super spreader event because of the close, crowded conditions where bacteria can spread and pass easily through coughing, sneezing, intimate contact, I don't know what that means. Intimate contact and sharing drinks. It's not just the university. Cases have popped up in local schools too. One person who travelled has ended up in a London hospital. So this is now spread to London. And when these things are contagious, which it does look like this is, otherwise how is it spreading? When these things spread, they spread easily, especially when there's an incubation time. So, for example, you can, if you've gone to this nightclub, what's it called? The chemistry club. If you've gone to this chemistry club in Canterbury, and then the next day you got a train or whatever, you're coughing and sneezing on the train, you then travel up to, I don't know, Scotland. You then go to a nightclub in Scotland. Before you've got the symptoms, you infect people in that nightclub. So I don't know, guys. I don't know. Maybe this is regardless what we think, right? It's the perception of that reality. Now, because of how quickly this has escalated, authorities are declaring this a national incident, not a full-blown national NHS crisis, but a formal step to pull in resources from across the country, stockpiling antibiotics, ramping up contact tracing, and getting preventative treatment out fast. They've already handed out hundreds of doses of antibiotics to close contacts from that nightclub and targeted the Meningitis B vaccination program. So why is this hitting young people hard? Well, if you guys remember the routine vaccination, Meningitis B vaccine only started for babies in 2015. So most teens and young adults born before then, they haven't really had it. They haven't really had the vaccine. And look, I know people right now are vaccine hesitant, and I'm not going to tell anyone that they should or should not do anything, right? Absolutely not. What I will say is I know that vaccines do save millions of lives. They eradicate disease, and they lengthen they make people live longer, basically. I do understand what's happened since 2020, and I do understand that people have vaccine hesitancy. I do understand that. I'm putting it out there, guys. I am. Your decision is your decision. Right. So what's been happening in the United Kingdom in regards to this? Well, first of all, the chemists have been absolutely price gouging these vaccines. So Asda are charging £179. This is from AI, guys. Okay, this is the cost of the private vaccine. So Asda, they've not raised their prices, so you would assume they would sell out quickly. They're charging £179.76 for it. This is from AI right now, guys. This is what AI is telling me, right? There are some private clinics. It's been reported that some private clinics are charging £750. Now, the reason in fact, let me share this. Give me a second, guys. Let me share this. So you've got Asda. Where is it? Asda charging £179. And then you've got some clinics charging £750. Now, the reason I'm sharing that with you guys, moving forwards in the world which we all live in, we are going to come up to difficulties. We're going to come up to hardships. And unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever side you're thinking of, there are people who are going to price gouge for everything. For literally everything. You guys saw this in 2020, hand sanitizer, right? Can you remember when everybody was buying hand sanitizer? Hand sanitizer. It went from like £1 for like 5 of those little things to like £10 for one. People price gouge. That's just the reality, guys. Okay, so if you're watching this now, take the whether you're conscious or whether you're, you know, whatever you guys want to think about this meningitis outbreak that's happening in the United Kingdom right now. Whatever you think about this, look at the price gouging that is really happening. That price gouging is really happening. Asda, as I'm going to assume, Asda have not raised their prices. So I'm going to assume from what we've just seen that the actual price of this vaccine privately is £179. Like we just shared there, some people are putting their prices up to £750. That is absolute price gouging. So things like antibiotics, things like your own medicine, things like your own whatever you guys need, we're heading towards a huge supply and demand. Huge supply and demand is coming, guys. It really is. So those prices are going to rocket because, you know, the prices will go up, but also people will be price gouging. Now, I'm going to come on to the lockdowns now, because I do think that we are heading towards a scenario where it will be very easy. It would be very easy for the government just to click that button and say, right, okay, let's look what's happening, right? Conflict in the Middle East, there's no clear end game to what the conflict in the Middle East is trying to achieve. There isn't. Other than total takeover of Iran. That's what that conflict's about, right? Total takeover of Iran. Forget what everybody else is saying. So that's leading to a fuel shortage. That fuel shortage is not going to, you know, if the war stops tomorrow and Iran tick all the boxes and they say, yep, we're going to open it up, it's going to be about 3 months before oil starts flowing again. That's just how long things take. That's, you know, that's literally how, and that's quick. That's how long things take. So don't expect with the price of fuel to go down anytime soon. We've got the conflict in Ukraine. Now, if you guys have been following my channel, one of the things I've said, and it's absolutely not a perfect metric, but normally when two leaders meet and they're warring leaders, and you have the war leader and the main supporter. For example, when Netanyahu goes over to America, you can expect the next Friday after he goes back, you can expect something big to happen. Now, I've been talking about the 2nd of April, and I will be jumping on, guys, and I'll be doing a standalone video about the 2nd of April. That, or maybe might be the 1st, might be the 2nd, might be the 3rd, but that time frame, that's when I feel we're all going to be looking at Ukraine again. So I am going to do a standalone video on that. But all these things set into line, right? So war in the Middle East, meningitis in the United Kingdom, war in Ukraine, fuel costs, diesel. Perfect way to keep people, you know, to stop people protesting, to stop people going out on the street and rioting, to stop people getting angry. Just put them in a lockdown. Literally, put people in lockdown and give them more money. The boats will continue. The boats will continue. They'll be put in hotels, and the problems will just be getting worse. That's where we're going right now, guys. And I don't see an off-ramp. Right, listen, let me jump onto the chat. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are talking about the national incident of meningitis. I've been talking about the vaccines, price gouging, lockdown 2.0, the Middle East. There is absolutely no off-ramp in the Middle East. Absolutely zero off-ramp in the Middle East. Let me give you guys the last couple of updates. NATO will deploy a new US Patriot missile defense system in southern Turkey. Turkey's defense minister said another Patriot system is being deployed in Adana, in addition to the existing Spanish Patriot system stationed there. A military official said at a press briefing today. Okay, so this has just come out like 4 minutes ago. So let me just give you guys a quick update on that. What that basically means is you can attack NATO countries now, and all they'll do. Remember how we used to? Remember, like we've spoken before about NATO Article 5. It turns out if you attack a NATO country, they just send more air defense. You can keep attacking NATO countries, and all they will do, by the looks of it, is send more air defense. So you can imagine what the Russians are thinking right now. So the Russians are watching. So the Russians are watching this conflict, right? And they are watching the Iranians attack Turkey. Turkey's a NATO country. They're watching all these half-baked politicians who used to say, yes, if you attack one NATO country, it's an Article 5 issue and it's deemed an attack on all countries. And we will be so furious, we will send more air defense and do nothing. So the Russians will be saying, okay, Yuri, what big problem if we attack Poland? There's no problem, Vladimir. We attack Poland, they send more air defense. Oh, good. Then we send more Shahid and overwhelm. Yes, of course, we may bankrupt them in Turkey without even deploying a troop. Right, there's a video. Right, I'm not going to share that. Right, listen, let me jump into the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Right, David O'Rourke is saying UK airport food ban. Confirmed as Greece disease outbreak. This is foot and mouth, but could we outbreaks of different infectious disease to make you? Yes, lockdown, guys. Lockdown. All roads right now, as far as I'm concerned, are leading towards all roads right now, I believe, are leading towards lockdown. I don't. Andrea Fenton is saying, do they vaccinate the boat people? No, I don't think they do. That was a big excuse me. If you guys can remember, like when these boat people coming over, they were just coming straight in and going straight into hotels, and everybody else had to be vaccinated. But they were coming straight into hotels, and it just seemed a little bit weird, right? Kinder is saying, we're all right. Y'all got migration to deal with. Don't worry about Iran. Yeah, that's the direction of channel. And Andrea Frenton is saying, guys, remember the damage something did, and ask yourselves, would you? Look, guys, I totally understand people have huge hesitancies. I also understand that I've been there and seen how much some of these things can be miracles, but I also understand that people have hesitancy, so I'm not even going to give my comment. I think there's a wasp. I think there's a wasp in here. Right, I don't know. I think there may be a wasp in here. And you guys know what I have to do if I see a wasp, right? David Campbell is saying the oil companies are in no hurry to get through. The price of oil goes up and they make more money. Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. When the price of oil goes up, you've got supply and demand. So those companies that are still making the money, right? America, Saudi Arabia. Yes, Saudi Arabia. So I don't know if you guys know this, but Saudi Arabia have a pipeline, and it's called the East-West pipeline from Saudi Arabia, and from Saudi Arabia through Jordan. I'm pretty sure it goes into Israel and to the Mediterranean. Now, with this East-West pipeline, this was built in the 1980s when there was the Iran-Iraq war, because the Saudi Arabians were like, look at that. The Iranians can close the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah, that's a big problem. So the Saudi Arabians built a pipeline that can get their oil out. So, although the Saudi Arabians do use a lot of their oil and get a lot of their oil out through the Strait of Hormuz in shipping, they also have another outlet. Now, for the Saudi Arabians, if the price of your oil has gone up exponentially and you can still get that oil to market, then you are making more money and selling less product. So it's totally fine, so it's totally fine for Saudi Arabians. They're sending people off work, sending them home, right? Christendom Defender is saying the European Union is being obliterated. Yeah, wait till this war starts, guys, and wait till we start to see land pirates. April is agreeing 100% with David. What did David say? David King said importing land pirates with no medical checks. What can go wrong? Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah. Right, how do I say this without sounding horrific? I can't even say what I'm going to say because it sounds like when I'm saying it to myself in my head, it sounds so bad. I hold my breath when I walk past certain people. I'm just going to put it that way. If I walk past certain people, I'll just hold my breath, and I don't mean that to be negative. I know that a lot of people come to this country, they have diseases, they have, all sorts of stuff. And I don't want to breathe that shit in. So I'm just going to put it out there. I hold my breath when I walk past certain people. Caveman is saying, is a robot setting prices and humans can't do nothing about it? Let me get this up. So I'm pretty sure a Deliveroo robot attacked a dog. Hang on, give me a second. Right, let me just share this. I saw the back end of this. Not Deliveroo. Right, let me just share this with you guys. So I know we're all worried about robots, and I watched the Terminator the other day, and I watched the Terminator, part of Terminator 2 last night. I actually watched it. There's an actual uncut, a director's cut of Terminator 2. I didn't know. Delivery robot sparks concern after dog incident. Right, I'm going to let everybody know I don't know what this is, right? Oh, look at him. New delivery robots sparked safety concerns after a counsellor's dog was almost run over. Over the past month, Just Eat had launched a new trial using small-wheeled robots to deliver food to customers along Bristol's Gloucester Road. Bristol City Council said it was not informed about the trial and does not have a policy on the use of delivery robots. Jesus. Council staff were asked to investigate how the trial is being conducted and what permission was required. A council meeting was told a councillor's small dog narrowly avoided being hit by the robot, with councillor Ed Plowden. Do you think he's any? Do you think this is Edward Snowden's alter ego? Ed Plowden saying the company was creating new risks for residents. Right, so where do we go with this, guys? Where do we go with this now? I think that's a little dog. I don't know if that's a dog or not. These are all things that are coming right now. Like there's a whole new dynamic of there's a whole new world happening right now, and it's just happening. It's happening so quickly. We literally have right now, and I didn't even know this. Well, the local council didn't even know this was happening, right? So we have humanoid combat robots being sent to Ukraine for battlefield testing. That's real. That's happening. I shared with you guys the articles of that. We have now delivery robots. So you guys see where is the where's the jump over? Where's the jump over to that? Where's the jump over where they say, right, okay, how about security robots? How about we have security robots next time? And what happens is, if you disagree with a security robot, they do facial recognition and they just close your banking down. I don't know which level of dystopia we're going to. You know, I keep thinking Mad Max. Now I'm thinking we're heading to like some sort of cyberpunk dystopia. Are we heading to like a Terminator Judgment Day dystopia? And it starts with the little doggies, right? It starts with the little doggies being taken down. Michelle is saying it'll be same time for lockdown globally. Right, guys, listen, I'm just jumping down, guys. I'm just jumping down. I'm sorry if I'm missing anybody's comments. Paul is saying they're Islamic robots. They don't like dogs. I don't know who doesn't like dogs, guys, honestly. Rod Panhard is saying delivery robots and drone delivery is never going to work. All you're going to get is gangs full of kids with nets looking for free stuff. Yes, I think that as well. I do. I think that as well. Now, what I will say in response to that is, if somebody would have come to me and said, Sean, I've got an idea for a website where people upload their items to sell and they trust the other person to send them the money, and then that person trusts them to send them the goods, I would say not a chance. People are just going to get robbed. People are not going to send the things. It's never going to work. That's what I would have said 100%. So I don't know. I certainly see what your argument. Kinder is saying some of them literally defeated it by wearing cardboard boxers. One Marine did a car. I don't know what that means. Are we talking about defeating AI and facial recognition? Sean, they've sent a wasp drone to vax you. Shut it down with fire. Yeah, I think that I keep hearing. I think there's a wasp out there. It's that time of year when all the wasps start to wake up. Sherry Heppelstone is saying morning from a beautiful sunny South Yorkshire. It is pretty sunny today, guys. It is. And hang on, it's all gone wrong. He's saying, I'm defeating robots with a jet wash. I'll walk around with a backpack of water looking like something from Ghostbusters. Listen, if I see a humanoid robot, I'm going to unscrew its head. I don't care. If I see a humanoid robot, I am unscrewing its head. I am. Raven, have you seen this morning's news about mirrors to turn on sun demand from space? Yeah, this is quite an old. This is really old technology. I think the Russians did it in the Russians actually did this in. I think I know. Give me a second. Right, the Russians actually did this. Give me a second. The Russian Xanam. Right, here we are. So yeah. So let me just share with you guys this from Wikipedia. This is quite old technology. Well, I'll show you. This is from Wikipedia. This is the thing here. So they did it in 1990. The Russians did this in 1992. Yes, it's a very. So basically, what we have the Earth, right? We do. We have the Earth, and the problem. Well, there's lots of problems with Earth, right? We're moving into geoengineering, right? And honestly, guys, I don't see anything wrong with this. I think it is it's a natural progression of human evolution. It is, and you know, actually, I know this is going to be counter to what you're think. So I know Sazzy Lazzy will be thinking that this is wrong, but I actually think this is good. So basically, you've got the Earth, right? And there's places on the Earth where you can't grow food because you just don't get enough sunlight. So what they're saying is, if we put a big mirror here, you know, in orbit, that can reflect sunlight onto the onto that particular part of Earth. Now, I know what some of you guys are thinking. Don't mess with nature. Don't do this. But look, let me put it this way. Like I've always said on this channel, from like one of my tropes on this channel is I think humans should stop fighting each other, start building spaceships, start going into space, building space infrastructure, because then people start to profit from space, right? And from building technology and exploring and expanding. And then that happens exponentially. And then we stop fighting each other and start exploring, because exploring and building stuff in space becomes more profitable. So, yes, I have seen it. It's all, well, 1992, I guess the Russians developed that. And again, he's saying Sean is a space cowboy. I've been called a cowboy many times, guys, many times. Where's Sean and his Stetson? What about the rotation of the Earth? So they would lock it in geostationary orbit. And obviously these satellites move, right? So you can have it in geostationary orbit, so it's always in the same place, or you can have it moving. So there's lots of different ways you can do that. It's basically a big mirror. The technology is nothing. Iranian intelligence minister killed, Israel says. Right. Listen, guys, let me throw this. Oh, hang on a minute. Darth G is saying, I agree, planet exploration is the way forward. Yeah, we need to get off the planet, guys, okay? We need to stop fighting each other. We need to stop spending hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions on weapons that just create destruction, and we need to spend those hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions on things that benefit humans. That's what we need to do, guys. We need to benefit humans. That's the reality. And David O'Rourke is saying, Central Command announces the United States military has just launched multiple 5,000 pound deep penetrator munitions on Iranian missile sites along the Strait of Hormuz. It's not going to matter, ladies and gentlemen, okay? It's not going to matter. It does not matter. Ultimately, the only thing that can open the Strait of Hormuz right now, the quickest way, actually, the quickest way for your fuel prices to drop is lowering, is the Iranians saying yes. That's the quickest way, and that's going to take months at best. Right, listen, guys, let me jump back to the meningitis crisis that we have in the United Kingdom. Let me see if there's been any update. Hang on. News, 3 hours, 2 hours. Meningitis outbreak declared national incident. Right, I'm gonna read a little bit of this. Let me get the ads off. So the meningitis. Listen, guys, if you guys are not from the United Kingdom right now, maybe you're overseas or maybe you're somewhere else. We do have a meningitis outbreak, or we're being told, again, it could be AI, whatever, the reality doesn't matter anymore, it's the perception. So there is a meningitis outbreak right now that has killed 2 people, an 18-year-old and a 21-year-old in Kent. It has now been declared a national incident. The UK Health Security Agency and the NHS declared the emergency due to its severity. Also, a case yesterday was reported in London, making this the first confirmed case outside Kent, where the outbreak originally originated. Now, the health secretary in the United Kingdom is saying that this is an unprecedented explosion, and it's the worst outbreak of meningitis they have seen in the United Kingdom. Now, look, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I've no inside information on this. All I can get, I've certainly got no experience in. I've certainly got no experience like knowing the nuts and bolts of vaccines and how they work. If we're talking about military stuff, guns, bombs, tanks, planes, trains, automobiles, drones, missiles, lasers, ammunition, 5.56, 5.45, 0.50 or 12.7 millimeter. I'm all over that stuff. I'm all over it. I'm all over that stuff. However, what I'm doing is I'm understanding what I've lived through. I'm looking at the global events. I'm looking at a fuel shortage coming within 2 weeks, the 2nd of April, guys. I'm going to do a standalone video on that. And I'm looking at things and I'm saying, right, okay, a good way to get people to stop using fuel would be to have a national lockdown, right? That would be a very good way to get people to stop using fuel. So the UK Health and Safety Advice Chief Executive Susan Hopkins said, this looks like a super spreader event with ongoing spread in the halls of residence in the universities. There will have been some parties particular around this. So there will have been lots of social mixing. You students, stop social mixing. I can't say where the initial infection came from, how it's got into this cohort, and why it's created such an explosive amount of infections. Now, if you guys were on the live stream earlier on, we were saying that there are reports that it appears to the epicenter of this outbreak appears to be from a nightclub called Club Chemistry in Canterbury, with people who were there on the 4th, 5th, and 6th of March. So that's the epicenter of this. What the claimed epicenter of this place has been. This woman as well. She's the chief executive of the UK Health and Safety Advisory. She's saying, I can't, that in my 35 years working in medicine, in healthcare and in hospitals, sorry, I can't say that in my 35 years working in medicine, healthcare and hospitals, this is the most cases I've seen in a single weekend with this type of infection. So she's saying this is this is a super spreader. It's the explosive nature that is unprecedented here. The number of cases in such a short space of time. NHS were initially managing it as a major incident in the region, but now they've increased that to overlay to having national level oversight as well. As of yesterday, the 17th of March, 9 laboratory cases have been confirmed. 11 notifications remain under investigation, which totals 20. So it does look like this is spreading. It does. It looks like this is spreading. A few things that are coming from this. First of all, you can buy this vaccine privately. If you guys were on earlier, I shared this with you. So you can go and buy this from, I don't know, various places. I think Asda, in fact, I've closed the thing down. Asda was selling it the cheapest at like £179. However, people are price gouging now. So there's some reports of people charging £750 for the same vaccine. So whether you guys, are down with this, whether you guys believe in this, whether you guys think this is okay, whether you guys, whatever you guys think, right? What we are seeing right now, I believe, is the seedlings sprouting. It is spring. That are going to lead Britain into another lockdown, right? I whether that happens or not, I don't know, but it's certainly going to be an option, right? When they go and have their Cobra meetings, right? I can guarantee this is what will happen, right? I can guarantee this is what will happen, right? They will have this Cobra meeting, And they'll say, right, emergency cabinet office briefing room alpha meeting. Let's all get in here. Let's have a little meeting. I assume they've all got little bottles of water and little snacks and sandwiches and whatever. They're all there. They're having their meeting. You've got high rolling intellects like David Lammy, Keir Starmer. What's his name? The health secretary, Wes Streeting. Something about him, guys. Something about Wes Streeting I don't trust. I just don't trust him. I do not trust Wes Streeting. I look at him. If I was on a meeting, I don't know how long you guys have been following me, but the reason I stayed so well, I still work. The reason I still work is because of my intuition. But when we used to go to meetings, I don't know if anybody's ever been to like a high stakes meeting where there's millions of pounds being discussed. There's a wasp. Fuck! There he is. There he is. I've got him. Sorry about that, guys. Listen, I've got this thing. If I ever see a wasp, I have to make 100% effort to immobilize that wasp. I've immobilized that wasp. He ain't coming back, and he certainly is not making no nest. We've had a couple of wasp nests in the house, and it's just my standard operating procedure now. Every time we see a wasp, it's our family policy. Every time you see a wasp, you don't just leave it and waft it away. You try and neutralize that threat. Right, where was I going with this? Can somebody help me out and say what I was talking about before I had to go and fight the wasp? No surrender. Yeah, we're on the front line defending people from wasps, guys. Look, slightly off topic. If anybody's ever had a wasp nest in their house, it's absolutely terrifying. It's terrifying. So we've had 3 now in the house. So it's an old house. It's quite in the countryside, and wasps come here, right? So the last couple of years we've been doing this. We've been absolutely, if we see a wasp, we just go for it, right? And give 100% effort into neutralizing that wasp. So just don't have the wasps in the house, guys. It's one of the things you guys don't need to deal with. Yes, I was talking about meningitis. I was talking about meningitis, wasn't I? So let's jump back quickly, guys, because if you live in the United Kingdom right now, we have that scenario where meningitis outbreak. That's tick, right? Let's just tick these boxes, all right? I'm going to give you these boxes to tick, and then I'm going to tell you what's going to happen, like I was before in the Cobra meeting. Okay, so meningitis outbreak, tick. War in the Middle East, tick. Fuel shortages, tick. War in Ukraine, coming. So like question mark. So a good way to stop people using fuel is to have a national lockdown, right? So you can imagine now, right? You have this Cobra meeting, Cabinet Office Briefing Room Alpha, right? So you're in there, Cabinet Office Briefing Room Alpha. You're all sat there. Right, what's going on? Keir Starmer's like, right, what's going on? The health secretary's like, yeah, we've got this super spreader. super spreading event. It's spreading, it's doing this, cases here, cases there, it's spreading fast. We need to contain it. Right, okay. Anybody got any suggestions on how to contain it? I don't know, somebody from another department puts their hand up and they say, listen, Kia, with this, what we need to do is we need to have the roads clear. We need to have the roads clear, because if we have to send an ambulance out to collect any of these kids, because it's kids now, it's kids. We need those roads clear, and we need to be able to, we need fuel in our ambulances. Right, okay. And then somebody else puts their hand up and they say, listen, Kia, just to let you guys know, we are kind of running out of fuel. We've not made this public yet, but we ain't getting enough fuel in. Oh, no, why not? Well, this war in the Middle East, there's not enough fuel coming in. We're struggling. All right, okay. Yeah, got that. Right, anybody got any suggestions? And somebody will put their hand up and say, hey, Kia, if we had a lockdown, we would tick all these boxes. We would keep the people off the streets. They wouldn't be able to protest this summer because there'd be lockdowns, right? We'd solve the fuel problem, the fuel shortage problem. And it'd be a good way to stop people seeing what else is happening around the country. So I genuinely do see the direction of travel now where another national lockdown is implemented. I do. I absolutely, it ticks so many boxes. Back in, what was it? Was it March? I think it was March, wasn't it? March 2020. Was it? I think it was March 2020. March 2020. Do you know what? Let me do Raven maths. Give me a second. Let me do Raven maths. When was the first... When was the first case of COVID-19 found in the United Kingdom? January the 3rd. I told you it was January. Right, okay. So let's say it takes 3 months. So January the 3rd, February, 2 months. Are we going to do 2 months? Yeah, 2 months, right? So let's say it takes 2 months. So look, I'm doing Raven maths, right? I'm doing Raven timeline maths. Let's just say, well, let's not say because this is when it happened. The first case of COVID-19 was found in the United Kingdom on the 3rd of January. Oh, 2021. Surely that was 2020. Okay, right. Okay, stop. Let's rewind, okay? Though later reporting indicated there may have been cases dating back from 2019, COVID-19 was... I was reading something else, guys. COVID-19 was confirmed to be present in the United Kingdom by the end of January 2020, with the first confirmed fatalities in March 2020. So if you guys think about that as a, as a timeline, that gives us a month, right? I think we've got a month. So that brings us on to the middle of April, I guess. So the middle of April, things are going to happen quickly. Things will happen very quickly, guys. Okay. So I'm just giving you guys those, those numbers. So January 2020, right? I've got it here on Wikipedia. Let's share this. Okay, so 23rd of January, they advised not to go to Wuhan. Oh, well done. There we go. 30th of January, right? 30th of January. So on the 30th of January, the first 2 cases of COVID-19 in the United Kingdom are confirmed. That's what Wikipedia is telling us, right? And then I think it's March the 6th. No. Whatever. I'm pretty sure it was sometime in March that we had the first lockdown, March 2020. Anyway, listen, what I'm getting at here is there's a flash to bang time from when these things are announced to when these things when this lockdown. And the only information I've got, the only information I've got about this is what I'm getting from Wikipedia, because I genuinely can't remember. I can't remember all the dates. When was so we've got the 30th of January. When was the first COVID lockdown UK? 23rd of March. Right, okay. So we've got end of January to the end of March. You've got 2 months. Well, we'll go with 2 months, right? Let's say 2 months. So that brings us up to May. So we have literally got until mid-May, I think. So if there's going to be a lockdown, could be mid-May. And that would be perfect, right? That would be absolutely perfect, because I think the next escalation in Ukraine is going to start on the 2nd of April. I think that by middle of May, what a better way to conscript people as well. If nobody can, if nobody's allowed to travel around and the streets have to be empty, you can literally have the Gestapo in jackboots turning people's, going to these hotels and dragging people in the back of vehicles. Christendom Defender is saying logical thinking is required. Yeah, May elections cancelled. Do you know what? Listen, guys, we're getting a lot of information. Yeah, that's another one, right? So imagine, right, that you're in that Cobra office briefing room alpha meeting, and all these things. What will a lockdown in May do? Cancel elections, save on fuel. It's a no-brainer to me. It's an absolute no-brainer that that another lockdown is coming. As David King is very well received, pointing that out. Imagine being in that. So I was talking earlier. If you're on that in that Cobra meeting, and Keir Starmer's saying, right, what can we do? And then somebody else puts their hand up and they say, Keir, you do realize we're going to get obliterated in these May elections that we have to have now? Unless there's a lockdown, then nobody's allowed to vote. Yeah, we're seeing this coming, aren't we, guys? We are seeing this coming. We are absolutely seeing this coming. Right. I'm just going to jump down again, guys. Lots of comments. I do apologize. Do you really think people will accept another lockdown? Absolutely, Debbie Doobs. I do. A real easy way to get people to accept a lockdown is just give them more money. Give people more money. Literally just say, right, have more money. Here's a shit ton of free money. Because what they have to do is they have to bring people onto universal basic income. That's what's coming, right? So a good way to put people onto universal basic income is to destroy small businesses, destroy business in general, right? Businesses are destroyed in the United Kingdom. This fuel shortage it's decimating businesses, guys. It really is. It's decimating fuel increases, fuel shortages. So people may still want to work. People may still want to resist. People may still want to go out and earn a buck doing this, doing that. If you implement lockdown on people and then say, right, we're going to give you a shit ton of money to spend only in approved shops, you can still keep that economy moving. As long as that money keeps, as long as that, okay, so people think that universal basic income is going to be like, where's all the money coming from? No, it doesn't work like that. There's something called modern monetary theory, where you just keep printing money, right? You just keep printing more money. The problem with modern, what I just said, modern monetary theory is it makes there's no such thing. Savings are irrelevant then. Savings are irrelevant. And the price of everything just keeps going up. So you can never really make any money. Like if you're an innovator, an entrepreneur, if you're a go-getter, you can never really make any money. You can never really start a business. You can never really do well for yourself. You're always at that like bottom level. So universal basic income, this is being trialed in, it's already been trialed somewhere. I can't remember. In the United Kingdom, I can't remember. I think it was Wales. For some reason, I think it was like Wales. It was, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant where it was trialed. But they trialed universal basic income, and they gave people, I think for 2 years, they gave them £1,600 a month. And they said, that's your money. You can do whatever you want with it. You can work, you can not work, literally do whatever you want with that money. So what do you think those people, after those, like when those people, get, when they look at the information from that trial, what do you think those people are going to say? Do you think those people are going to say, yeah, it was the worst time of my life. Don't give me that money again. I don't want that money. Please, no. Oh, God, no, I wouldn't do that again. It was horrific. They kept putting all this money in my bank and I was working and it was a nightmare. Oh, God, yeah. I had to spend it. It's nobody in their right mind is going to say that having more money in their bank was detrimental, right? So it's going to have all the ticks in the boxes. When we talk about universal basic income, which is where I think we're being pushed right now, so everybody's in lockdown, you give people more money. Where does that come from? Well, first of all, you just print it, right? Now, as long as that money is being spent in the economy, it's turning the wheels of the economy, right? It's turning the wheels of the economy because they pay tax on it. Those customers get goods. Those goods get consumed. The companies, the factories, they get to make more money. Unfortunately, the way this works, you have this huge divide because that money, all that money that gets printed, all the money. Where do you think all the money that got printed in COVID? Where do you think that ended up? If you follow that money, and I know what do you mean follow the money? Okay, so let's just say I don't know how it works. Let's just say a low-income family get given £1,000, right? And they say, right, go and spend that on whatever you want, right? You give them £1,000, okay? Okay. They go and they buy stuff, right? They buy stuff from, I don't know, Asda, whatever, Asda. Let's just say they buy a slide from Asda, whatever, I don't know, whatever. They buy item X, all right? Item X is then bought. They use the item, right? That company make a profit on that item, right? So then the profit, after everything's paid, that profit ends up in someone's bank account. Ultimately, you follow that money through, and that ends up in someone's bank account, somebody who's already rich. So all this money printing, it never actually goes to poor people, because poor people can never create wealth in the society that we've got right now. If you're poor in the society that we've got right now, the odds of you guys becoming wealthy they're like absolutely stacked against you, like ridiculously stacked against you. And it's the whole system that's stacked against you. So universal basic income is just going to drive that. It's going to drive that divide even further, because the money that's been spent on universal basic income, the consumers at the bottom level. I mean, in Marxism, I guess you had bourgeoisie and proletariat. So the bourgeoisie would be, and this is where we're heading right now, guys. We're heading into Marxist territory. the bourgeoisie would be the ones with the means, the factory owners, the people who are the employers. They're the ones with the money and the influence. And then you've got the proletariat. You know, they're just the workers and the consumers, right? You know, work, consume, work, consume, work, consume. That, you know, and universal basic income is going to drive that gap even bigger. You know, so we might be heading towards a you know, a cyberpunk altered carbon state. Linda Liu is saying, Sky News saying there aren't enough vaccines to vaccinate everyone who may need it. Wow, this is huge. Right, let me throw this on here. Hang on. Right, okay, so I've just got this from Sky News 20 minutes ago. Right, let me share this from 20 minutes ago. So I was talking when this was coming out. Kent meningitis outbreak, a cruel reminder young people are... Oh. Right, okay, that's probably the wrong article. I don't know where I can find that, Linda Liu. If that's literally just happened, then it won't be on the mainstream yet. But Linda Liu is saying that Sky News are reporting that there are not enough vaccines to vaccinate everyone who may be who may need it. Another direction to put the nation into a lockdown, guys. Another direction there to put people into the lockdown. And look, what you've got to understand is these mainstream media news outlets, you know, they say what the government tell them to, right? They absolutely tell people what they hang on. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Has everyone seen the new June advert? I don't know. That's what Scott's talking about. Right. Linda Liu was saying, where's Linda Liu's comment there, basically? Well, basically, Linda Liu is saying that Sky News are reporting that there are not enough vaccines to go around for everyone. Voxish is saying the human body is an amazing machine that can heal itself. It wasn't designed to have all this crap. Oh, God. I don't, honestly. Right. Okay. So there's two trains of thoughts here. You know, there's two trains of thoughts here. If you think... So, thousands of years ago, right? Humans had a natural diet. They didn't eat chemicals. You know, they got plenty of fresh air and sunlight. The average life expectancy was like 40, right? You know, you were either going to get eaten by a wildebeest or you were going to get a cough, and that was just going to take you down at like 40. So, you know, I know that medicine does improve people's lives. I do. I know that happens. But I also understand, you know, that people are very hesitant at the moment. April Lee is saying secondary schools are rolling out meningitis vaccines in the UK for all year 9. Where did you get that from? Hang on. You see, if Sky News are reporting that there are not enough meningitis vaccines to go around, oh, hang on a minute, guys. 11 minutes ago, give me a second. 11 minutes ago, 1 minute ago, we've got a meningitis update. We've got a meningitis update from 1 minute ago. Give me a second. I'll share this with you. I don't know what it is. Cases continue to rise as health chiefs confirm national response to explosive outbreak. Get off ads. So the government are adding they are deploying a national response to the crisis. It comes as top doctors say they have never seen such a rapid spread of cases of meningitis, calling it a super spreader event. This is by far the quickest growing outbreak. Dr. Thomas Waite said, "This is by far the quickest growing outbreak I've ever seen in my career." Right. Okay. So this is okay. So I was trying to find this out earlier on. So the number of cases is still expected to rise because the incubation period between the infection and when symptoms appear is 14 days. So what that means is when you get it, you can have it for 14 days before you have symptoms. So you can assume now this happened in a university. Those people from that university may have gone home the next weekend. They may have visited friends and family. So, you're going to have this spread. Pharmacists are warning of a surge in demand for the meningitis B vaccine. They've announced a targeted vaccination program for students at the University of Kent in Canterbury, and 700 doses of antibiotics have been given out. Yeah, so that's literally just come out in the last minute. Right, let me try and find Sky News again. Sky News. Right, let me take off Sky News. Six minutes ago, right? Okay, 6 minutes ago, right? Right, this is actually developing a lot quicker than I expected. This is from 6 minutes ago. Pharmacies are running out of stock for the meningitis B vaccines as concern rises and demand soars. The spike comes, Boots has implemented a queuing system specifically for the vaccine on its website. Superdrug also created a list for the vaccine with a note on its website informing customers of a national shortage. Right, hang on. Yeah, so I mean, if there is a look, guys, since we've been on here an hour, right? This situation has deteriorated rapidly. Literally in the last hour, since hour and 8 minutes, from when I started this live stream to now where we are, the situation has deteriorated like a lot. I'm just trying to get the Superdrug thing website up now, which is not working for some reason. Let me stop that and restart it. Right. No, the Superdrug website is not working because there's that many people trying to get on the website. However, what I can confirm is I'm looking at the little thumbnail now for Superdrug, and so on the Superdrug website itself, I can't get on it because there's too many people trying to get on the Superdrug website. There is currently a national shortage of the meningitis B vaccine and stock is limited. We are working with suppliers to secure more doses. Right. Like the Strait of Hormuz, ladies and gentlemen, right? If there's no more vaccines, you ain't getting them. You are not getting them, all right? So all this stuff is going to come together, right? All this stuff's coming together, and it's look. When I put this as a lockdown question mark, I think I need to remove that question mark, right? Because it does look like, it does look like that we are heading towards another lockdown. That's what I'm saying, guys. That's what I'm saying. I've been talking about the date of the 2nd of April. That's when everybody needs to get their shit in order by. Remember when I said to you guys that the airstrikes most likely date would be the 28th of February? Can you guys remember that? Unfortunately, for the next date I've got predicting, I don't know what's going to happen. There's so much stuff that could happen. Could it be a lockdown? Yes. Could it be an escalation could it be British boots on the ground in Ukraine? Yes. Could it be Russians attacking another NATO country? Yes. Could it be all of the above? Yes. I can't identify what it is, but that date, 2nd of April, 3rd of April, that time period. Voxis is saying, I don't normally comment because I had it as a kid. I think it's only right that I should speak up. Thank you, Voxish. And listen, guys, if there's anyone else out there who don't comment, please throw a comment up there. You're all welcome to the party. Band again is saying it's all pre-planned. It does feel like that, right? Doesn't it? Doesn't it feel like all this stuff right now is going to lead to another national lockdown? The national lockdown is going to lead to universal basic income. Universal basic income is just going to lead to slavery. Four Paws is saying, hang on. Jeremiah said it was 3, 4, 2 hours. Oh, God. Right, Jeremiah, I'm absolutely sorry to hear that, buddy. Oh, God. Right. Yeah, yeah. That is sad, and it's so scary. Wow. Let me Google this. Give me a second, guys. Let me Google this. Right, meningitis is caught through close direct contact with respiratory droplets. Right, okay. So yes, that could be chemtrails or whatever. I don't know, guys. I'm just saying it could be. Meningitis is caught through close direct contact with respiratory droplets or saliva from an infected person, such as coughing, sneezing, kissing, or sharing drinks or vapes. Yes, or a cigarette, obviously. It is caused by bacteria, it is caused by bacteria, not bacteria, bacteria or viruses that live in the nose and throat, often passed by carriers showing no symptoms. So it's spread by close contact, living in crowded environments like university halls, barracks, or nurseries increase risk. Saliva droplets, kissing, coughing, sneezing spread the germs. Sharing items using the same toothbrush, cigarettes, or drinks can transfer the bacteria. Poor hygiene. Germs can be passed via unwashed hands. Key factors. So bacterial meningitis is serious, while viral is more common. Right, okay. I didn't know there was two types. Okay, so there's two. Look, guys, I'm not an expert. I don't claim to be an expert. Guns, bombs, and tanks and war. That's where my areas of expertise are. Transmission. It is not as contagious as the flu and requires close contact. the bacteria only survive for briefly outside the body, right? Okay, so what I'm saying there, what I will say there is if you they die in the cold or they die in the air or something. That's risk factors: smoking, secondhand smoke, poor immune system, health. Poor immune system, health, increase susceptibility. Seasonality: winter sees more bacterial cases, while summer often brings higher viral cases. Right. So that's what we're getting from AI. So going back to the chemtrails thing, from what I just read there from AI, and look, guys, I don't know. Maybe there's like a super. Maybe like it's a different chemical, I don't know. But what I'm reading there is because of the time that meningitis takes, only survives a few minutes outside the human body. I think the cold and the pressure and the environment from an airplane, I don't think that would be the case. Fixed Bayonets, hello Fixed Bayonets, is saying it's a deliberate plant. Is it a plant? It's a deliberate plant and it's probably got birth control and stuff. It's another way to stop us having children so someone else's culture can take over us. And Chris is saying you should have chose April Fool's Day. Yeah, I did look at April Fool's Day when I was doing my analysis. There's just not enough data points. I agree. Something could happen on April the 1st. There's too many data points that there's not enough data points that, for me, there's not enough data points that point to April the 1st. Right, I'm just jumping down to the bottom, ladies and gentlemen. Just jumping down to the bottom. Helen is saying stock up on iodine. What does this button do? Is saying make sure to ignore the Irish TCP comments. What's that? As well as McEwen. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, right, I am going to close this down. Munchkin is saying more likely the 3rd of April. Mostly, yeah, yes. So I agree. Normally I would say Friday, which is the 3rd of April. However, there are a lot of maybe it's going to be the night time of the 2nd of April. Do you know what? You could actually be right. Yeah. Do you know what? It's going to be around that time. I don't know what it is, but that time, okay? I'm struggling to understand what this is as well. Right, let me just give an update on this. See if I can get, let me close this. Close that one. Close that one. 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 Right. Meningitis update. Wow. 5 new cases. Okay, hang on. So from 7 minutes ago, I'm literally getting this in real time, guys. I've not seen this article. I'll share it with you. From 7 minutes ago, literally updated 7 minutes ago, 5 new meningitis cases found in Kent. As the health secretary says, risk of spread across the UK is low. Meningitis patient who returned to France from England is in stable condition, health ministry said. Right, what we know so far with 5. Okay, so this is from I don't know. With 5 additional cases announced this morning, a total of, okay, so it's, okay. 2 young people have died, 18-year-old sixth form student called Juliet and a University of Kent student whose identity has not been released. Interesting. I wonder why that is. 6 cases are known to be meningitis B. 5 schools in Kent have so far cases among their students. All cases are linked to a nightclub called Club Chemistry. Let me just Google that. Let me see what this is like. It looks all right. I'm not going to share it with you because I might get done for copyright or something. I'm just on the Club Chemistry website now. Right. Okay. I think that's a bit inappropriate, but it just looks like a good nightclub. Close contact cases are being traced and advised to take antibiotics. Health Secretary said earlier that 2,500 people have been given medication. Meanwhile, a targeted vaccination program is expected to roll out later today, which will aim to give meningitis B jabs to around 5,000 students. Yeah, and then they've got the schools. I used to go to Canterbury quite a lot. The mood just shifted completely. University of Kent students tells BBC around anxiety on campus. Right, I'm going to close this live stream down. The situation has escalated ridiculously since we've been on the live stream. I've not even touched really on what's happening in the Middle East. I'll probably come. I will come on. I'll come back on before 12, guys. I'll come back on before 12, and I'll do another live stream definitely before 12. This meningitis thing, there's conflicting reports at the moment. So I'm hearing that there's going to be a national vaccination program for kids, well, teenagers, I guess. I'm also hearing that there's not enough meningitis vaccines to go around. We've just heard there from the health secretary in the United Kingdom, who said the risk of spread across the United Kingdom is low. However, we're also hearing that this is a super spreader and it could spread fast. So we don't know what's happening. What I will say is we are seeing a direction of travel now where it would be very easy to put the United Kingdom into another lockdown, especially if there is this big escalation, whatever's coming on the 2nd, 3rd of April, the night of around that time. Now, you've got to understand as well, fuel shortages, wars, the May elections, all these things, all these things you can mitigate we all know that Labour is going to be absolutely decimated in the May elections. They are going to be absolutely decimated in the local May elections. That is 100% the reality, right? If we go with recent polls. Now, Labour have tried to cancel a lot of those elections. It's been brought back, and Labour have backtracked. They've said, right, you know what, we don't have any, we don't have the ability to do that. However, what we know from politics is if you can't win an argument, don't have it. If you can't win a fight, don't have it. If you can't win an election, don't have it. So all these things get dealt with and mitigated if there is a national lockdown. And I'm definitely seeing the direction of travel right now to get for a national lockdown. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to close this down now. I will be back on before 12. I will be back on before 12, guys, and I will see you guys there. Just be conscious of this lockdown, guys, okay? Anyway, I'll catch you guys later.